At 6:03. Mrs. Burgos, would you please take roll?
Trustees present tonight are Ortega, Calderon, Aguilar, and Vizcarra. Trustee Duarte is absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Mr. Heck, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Motion by Calderon, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ortega. Any further discussion, comments? Ms. Ambriz?
All persons are encouraged to attend and participate in meetings of the Calexico Unified School District Board of Trustees. Please fill out the form available at the door and submit to the secretary or the superintendent prior to the meeting. Your comments will be heard with no action taken under the designated section of this agenda. For all presentations, the presenter will limit his or her presentation to 5 minutes. Public comments will be limited to 10 minutes total, and each board member will limit his or her comments to 3 minutes. Each presentation, including public and board member comments, shall not exceed 20 minutes. For the record, state your name, title, whom you represent, and the agenda item you are addressing. You're not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. The district will not respond to your comments at this time. Your questions, concerns, and/or input will be referred to the appropriate department. And we also make reference to the compliance with the Americans Disability Act, the Calexico Unified School District in compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, and California Government Code Section 54953.2. Provide special accommodations to individuals who may need assistance with language translation, access, attendance, and/or participation in board meetings. Upon written request to the district, disability-related modifications or accommodations, including auxiliary aids or services, will be provided. Please contact the superintendent's office at 760-768-3800 for specific information on resources or programs that may be available for such accommodation. Please call at least 48 hours in advance of meetings and 5 days in advance of scheduled services and activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ambriz. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Presentations, summer school summary.
Prior to us starting with the summer school summary, I would like to bring to the attention of the board several individuals who were instrumental this past weekend in making sure that our school district was safe and available and accessible to our parents and students and our staff for Monday morning. I really am proud to let our board know and our community know that we have an extremely dedicated classified unit, and in particular the efforts of our maintenance and operation and grounds crew. Their efforts just cannot be ignored. This weekend was obviously not a weekend a normal weekend, so to speak, and employees were called, drop what they were doing to come and help make our schools ready for Monday morning. And I really would like for us to recognize them publicly. And I know that Mrs. Aguilar, that was also a request that she made this weekend. So we have most of the gentlemen here tonight, and I'll go ahead and call their names so that they could stand and be recognized by our community. The first gentleman is Arturo Bernal. Francisco Navarro. Gabriel Herrera. Lauro Estrada. Chris de la Rosa. Ramiro Valencia. Emilio Piñón. Félix Arce. David Hernández. José Valadez. Luis Arbizu. George Duarte. Raúl Martinez. And I'm not sure if he's present tonight, Ángel Moncada. I cannot reiterate enough the how proud I am of this group, and you know that they are a part of our team. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for everything you did. Again, some of them left events with their families as early as Saturday evening. Some of them left their family side as early as 6 a.m. on Sunday morning and worked way beyond, you know, anybody's expectations. I know for a fact that I saw Mr. Valencia at Willie Moreno at 8 p.m. on Sunday evening, yet he was also already reporting for duty at almost 8 or 9 p.m. on Saturday evening, and didn't go home till almost 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and was back at work at 6 o'clock in the morning, and like I said, was at least there until 8 p.m. He may have been there later, but I last saw him at 8 p.m. So this is an incredible group. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
I also want to give special thanks to Ramiro for his efforts. As some of you know, Willie Moreno Junior High was the cool center for the community, and Ramiro went above and beyond to getting things there for the Red Cross, and thank you very much, Ramiro. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, members of the audience, board members and administrators. I just wanted to take a little opportunity to say a few words. Now, most of us here that are standing in front of you, and those of you who are employed and that are sitting in the audience, when the big earthquake hit, the 7.3 earthquake that hit, and the district, we had no experience on any type of catastrophe or any type of natural event that could hinder the educational system here in Calexico. I think that in light of all the mistakes that were made back in the earthquake days, the district sure has really gained ground on their proactiveness on not repeating the same mistakes that were made a few years ago. Mr. Martinez is one who's learned tremendously the whole process of these type of events and how they could affect the district with his experience in the state level and trying to recoup when we lost days and all the funding that we so direly need, you know. Just being proactive. It's good that we don't have to put things in motion and move children around and all that, but at least the district was ready. So the cabinet, Superintendent Ambriz, for calling your cabinet meeting and putting all those wheels in motion for all the sites to be proactive. We commend you on that also. As CSEA, classified unit members, as well as these employees who stand in front of you, we truly appreciate it also, because it's just something that stands out, something that I had no problem leaving home. First day of the NFL season, it's just like the second most popular barbecue day, family coming over, the fish getting ready to fry, all that stuff. But I had no problem leaving and going to do our due duty. So we want to thank you also. Thank you very much, board members.
Thank you. Before we go on to summer school summary, I've got a request for oral communication from Chris de la Rosa. That was it? Okay. And also Mr. Chad Cooper.
You'll notice I wrote F. Comments from public.
But you said possible response to summer school presentation.
Well, I haven't seen the summer school.
Okay.
presentation,
All right.
so
Thank you.
the response is that-
All right. Thank you.
Excuse me.
No, I wasn't. Okay. Summer school summer school summary.
Hello, good evening. Isaac Estrada, Director of Academic Services for Calexico Unified School District. And today we have a really quick overview of our summer school programs that we offered this summer 2013. I'll be go ahead and presenting specifically on the Migrant Ed program, and my colleagues are going to be presenting on the ELD piece, and my other colleagues are going to be presenting on the high school programs that we offered. So again, for Migrant Ed this year, we offered programs to students in K through 12th. As you can see, in all three locations, including Jefferson, Enrique Camarena, and the CHS Academy. And also, we also offered programs to students in early grades, including transitional kindergarten and kinder, through our migrant literacy program, which I will describe in further detail in further slides. Actually, can you go just back one? Traditionally, our programs are run at 15 to 20 instructional days. Our elementary ran for 15 instructional days and 4 hours of daily instruction. Our middle school was 20 days, and our high school 20 days as well. Then we can go on to the next one. So traditionally, we offer K through 6 through the Migrant Ed, and that program is offered typically at an elementary, and we recruit students who are not proficient yet. And the way we do it is we send the letters out just about February, March, or April, and we try to get students recruited early so we know or we anticipate our staffing needs. So again, what we emphasize this year, students who are scoring below basic, far below basic, and basic, and they were giving the priority. So the instructional, or what we call the core program, including basic language arts, math, ELD, and writing, and it was hosted at Jefferson, and approximately we served 107 students this year. And that is an approximate amount. This year, what we did different, we incorporated an innovative program called robotics. This program, we actually borrowed the idea from Jefferson School because they were really successful at the elementary level. So what we decided to do is program it through Migrant Ed, and it was really successful in the sense that we really got really good reviews on the Ivy Press, and you can actually follow that link through our website. And again, that program was for 4th through 11th grade students. We had it at the 3 different sites, and right now I'll show some pictures what the kids did. But one of the recruitment efforts was based on the CSTs. We try to recruit students who were in the middle level, meaning that at least they had some solid foundational skills to work with, because that program required them already to be able to perform, collaborate, and have some level of readiness. We use the curriculum math science as a core curriculum because the robotics lends itself to math and science concepts, but also the program included 21st century skills because they got to use other different applications. And finally, we use the robotics Lego Mindstorm, which is they're the leaders actually in promoting solutions to K through 12 educational entities for their products. And let's see. And finally, part of the component of the robotics involves programming, so students actually got to program after doing the robots. So if we can go to that. the other. Here, what you see is actually a picture that was illustrated in Pure Valley Press. You have 4 kids at elementary working on what is a snake. So the kids first worked on building the robot, and after that, what they had to do is actually program the robot and telling it specifically what they wanted to do as a response. In this situation, the response was when a student or put the hand right next to the fangs, actually the robot actually collapsed. So that was based on a sensor. So that was really neat that the students did that as a final project. But not only that, but they also had to do another project which included selling the product and using some oral language development skills. So again, that was during the parent night that the school hosted. And if we can go to the other one. This one shows two kids at the middle school level, and it appears to have they're still building 2 robots. This comes before the programming takes place. So again, part of it is getting all the Legos together and doing a design based on a model that they actually get to read about. And again, here you have 2 students at the middle school level after they finish their robot building. And as you can see, it appears to be a dog. And again, in the middle, you have the main circuit, which tells the robot how to respond, which is part of the building a robot. And the next one. This one is, I'm going to show you a quick video. It's a 10-second video, what the kids were able to do with that, with the programming. So first here, you can see the structure where you have a ball and it's going to go around in circles. And the students actually, they built this. They had to program, again, the robot to tell it when to detect the ball and then circulate it around. So if you can go to the next slide, and then you can press play. It's about a 10-second video.
Uh-oh.
So here you can see that the robot, after it was built, there's a sensor there that tells when they detect the ball to actually scoop it over, and over. And that's all through computer programming. So students actually get to use that skill set in following directions and telling the computer or the robot what to do. So it was a pretty neat project. So we can go on to the next one. This one is another really short video. As you can see, the kids built 2 robots and they actually competed to see, kind of like in a tug of war, which one had the more force. And you can see that the robots are different.
One not working, and it's still pulling this one over. No, maybe not. Maybe you're gonna lose.
So again, that's, as you can see, they can do so many different things with the robots, including a little bit of competition inside the classroom. So that was one of their final projects, and we can move over to the other one. So in moving beyond the robotics class, we also offered the family literacy program. Basically, this program was to serve kids in pre-kinder and kinder, and it was a partnership with ICOE. They provided the curriculum, and we provided the staffing, and we served about 35 families in that program over the course of 4 weeks, and there was 8 sessions, and the sessions were in the evening from 5:30 to 7. And the good thing about the program is actually parents were participating with the students. So in essence, the whole purpose was to increase literacy skills in English and Spanish, develop vocabulary, and promote family reading. And the parents got to keep the books so they can actually continue reading to their kids. So it's a really good program that we had throughout the year, and we replicated during the summer, and we're going to continue it this year. Also, other programs that we offered at the upper grade, secondary level was a PASS program. Traditionally, this program is offered throughout the year. And again, it's basically a credit recovery program. So high school students who need to recover credits, they are recruited and enrolled. So they work independently. And once they take an assessment and they show that they've done the work, they get credit for their work and then get high school credits. We also offered what we call the Math and Language Arts Academy. That really emphasizes 2 areas. Basically, it's language arts and writing, and also mathematics. This one, we have a 2-hour focus in math and focusing on algebra readiness, which is one of the skill sets that it's really troublesome or it's hard for students. And finally, we have those 2 other programs. What we have the migrant work study. We recruited about 11 students for this program, and that was done through our migrant work study counselor. And students in this program participate in different jobs throughout their community. They do get paid while they get experience in working for different business sectors. And finally, we have our speech and debate. This was a new program actually that we typically don't have, and the whole purpose was to start identifying kids who are going to participate in our winter speech and debate. Traditionally, Calexico High School really does very well on this competition at the county level and at the state level. So our idea was to recruit them ahead of time and identify them and then continue to support them, so when the winter event comes, then they can actually do very well. So again, we started at the middle school level. We didn't have the numbers. However, at the high school, we did have a few students that actually kept in the program. And finally, I just want to thank the several people actually who made the program possible. It was our summer school coordinator, Dr. Mario Martinez. He did an excellent job in coordinating all the programs at the high school, elementary, and middle school level. We also had a junior high school and a high school counselor for that, an administrative assistant and migrant and work study counselor who recruited the students, and of course, our teachers for working throughout the summer. So again, that's for the synopsis for the MigrantNet. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chad Cooper? There's more? I'm sorry. Did you want to wait till?
Oh, I don't know. Sure, I'll speak. Excuse me. You know, the original plan for summer school was to offer more services to more kids, and the teachers were left out of the recruitment process. The only thing we knew about summer school was a deadline to apply, and numerous teachers were laid off because there was a lack of recruited students. We were not asked to help recruit. There's obviously deficiencies in the migrant program office, or I don't want to say deficiencies. Something could have been improved so that we could have gotten more students at excellent education. And I haven't heard that at the board meeting. And when I spoke to you individually as board members, when the layoffs were going on, I understood that you hadn't been briefed about that. So I'd really recommend that someone on the board bring back a want to know what happened wrong and what we can do to get more students involved next year. Because it's really sad to lay off teachers when there's allocated budget because there's a lack of students. And it's not the teacher's job to come up with a recruitment plan, but will definitely help recruit if we're given a chance. And the administration did not ask us for our help. So that's what my response is that the distributive principle. We could have had more kids get that outstanding education if A, they would have asked us for our help, and B, if perhaps they would have developed a better plan. So please, I hope you're listening about that. Moving on, since this is public comments, last Friday, or maybe it was a Friday before, school year's starting to run together. We had a good meeting with the assistant superintendent and the superintendent about enrollment. As you know, we're having to hire more teachers. I want to give you a number, school board, because I know our numbers person. I know Carolina's here. She's a very good numbers person, but the one that usually sits up here, I haven't seen her in quite a while. The ADA for this year is $7,763. $7,763. I'll say that one more time. 7763. For each body the district brings in, we're funded an extra 7763. So as of that Friday, we had 223 extra students compared to the district's projection. So that's a net increase of $1,731,149. Now, teachers, we don't work for free. We do a lot of work for free, but we don't work for free. So I know a lot of that money goes towards paying our salary and benefits. But there's about $700,000 in that number that will not go towards that. So you as a school board, I challenge you to spend that money on making Calexico Unified better from the student's perspective. That way we can continue to recover our students from Imagine, Ballantine, which are corporate charters, and other districts that happily take our bulldogs. So I may be back for other remarks later tonight, but folks, I don't want to hear we're broke. I don't. And we have open positions we have not been able to fill. We have a recruitment and retention problem. What are we doing to recruit and retain our best teachers? Check out EdJoin. We've had positions for months we can't fill. Other districts are snapping up our teachers. We need to make this a better place to work and a better place to learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Silvia Yanez, ELL coordinator. We also had from my end a summer school program, and it was for English language learners, specifically just for them. And I'm going to tell you a brief summary of what we did during the summer. We had 3 different programs. We had a College Begins in Kinder that was for every incoming kinder to our school district that we had on the system, and we also advertised with other entities. We had a 2nd through 11th grade EL Academy, and we called it EL or ELD Academy. And we also had a science ELD program at the high school. College Begins in Kinder, that ran for 15 days of instruction. It was it was at Jefferson. It was from 8 to 12 and started on June 19th to July 12th. The school readiness program, the way we did our recruitment was based on the incoming kindergarten students that we already had on our system. Some of our parents had already come before the end of the school year to register some of their students, and that's how we started doing the recruitment for College Begins in Kinder. We also had an MOU for Mains and Kennedy Garden students with the Imperial County Children and Families First Commission. So they will be, based on that MOU, they'll be paying some of the services that Mains and Kennedy Gardens provided during summer. As part of the application criteria, we notify our parents via Global Connect, and we also had a parent meeting along with a parent application to have everything in place. That's part of the letter that we mail out to our parents. I also, we inform our head school clerks about it, so they would know exactly if the parents had any questions, to please refer them to us here at the district office. That's the College Begins in Kinder application that every parent had to fill out in order for their kids to be part of our College Begins in Kinder during summer. College Begins in Kinder, the daily lessons included foundational knowledge of letters, letter sounds, numbers, and hands-on activities. We also took a field trip to San Diego State Abbey campus on July 3rd, 2013 as part of their experience. That's a daily schedule of what they were doing every day. They were doing circle time, learning centers, the alphabet recipe, that was a hands-on activity, outdoor play, snacks, story time, and discovery in a small group. Okay, now the other summer school program that we had, it was a 2nd through 6th grade English for English language learners. The goal was for us, for our EL students to develop their academic language. The criteria that we targeted, it was EL students who have not made progress on the CEL test or the California Language Development Test for the last 3 years. So once I pull out the data and we notice, let's say Silvia Yanez have not made progress for the last 3 years, she would be one of the ones that I would be targeting for summer school. We also had a parent orientation meeting, and that was on April 30th, 2013, to let them know about it. We set up also the Global Connect to notify our parents. We had 15 days of instruction at Jefferson as well. That's the parents also had to apply for the summer school program. It was just a requirement so that we would have every information as needed. Specifically, we wanted to know if we wanted to make sure that they were interested in attending summer school, and their phone numbers as well. The 2nd through 6th grade academy ran from June 19th through July 12th, and it was from 8 to 12. Curriculum lessons, we used the VIPS. That's one of the science programs that we use to teach language through science. The EL summer lesson, that's just a lesson where you could see that they had the 4 components that our CEL tests and our English learners need to focus on. That's listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So at one part of the day, they were doing listening, either listening or speaking, reading, and writing at one point. And that's some of the lessons that they went through. I don't know if that's very clear. Keep going. Next one. Some of the work that the students were doing during the class. They were having presentations. That was part of the science program, ELD science program that they had on the summer. Keep going. Now the EL summer program for the junior high, once again, the target was English language development. That's our goal. And the criteria, once again, it was EL students who have not made progress on the CEL test for the last 3 years. It was 7th and 8th grade. We also had a parent orientation meeting on April 30th. We contact our parents via Global Connect. And we also had hand out a parent application for them. The days of instructions, it was 20 days, and it was at Enrique Camarena. The curriculum or lessons that we used, it was from a new program that we are using in the district, English 3D, from Dr. Kate Cancela, and it targets specifically academic language for English learners. The days were June 19th through July 12th. Now, the last one, but not least, CHS ELD Science Summer Program. The goal, it was for English learners, once again, to increase interest. This one, it's a little bit different, to increase interest in science and engineer fields. The criteria, once again, EL students, 9th through 11th grade. The hours, it was from 8 to 2:30. It was 20 days of instruction at CHS De Anza. The curriculum or lessons that we used for this one, it was English 3D from Dr. Kane Cancela, just like the 7th and 8th grade. We targeted academic language on the high school. Now for the ELD science, I'm sorry, the previous one was on EL, 9 through 11. This is the ELD science, I got a little bit confused. This one was to increase fluency among ESLs and interest in science and engineer fields. It was a proposal from from University of Johns Hopkins. One of our students, I'm sure you guys are familiar, Joshua Hurtado, is the one that connected us with the University of Johns Hopkins, and he even helped us with recruitment, which I'm really grateful. We also contacted the MESA program because they gave us some of the robots that we needed for the program. The days of instruction, it was 20. And that's just some of the presentations that they had for that program. They had some help with SATs and ACT. They also had information about, they had presenters that help them with how to apply for financial aid, student loans, scholarships, how to look for information, how to fill out a mentor application. The importance of being part of the community and how to provide community service. And also, at the end of the summer school, they had they worked together with Dr. Quiñones from John Hopkins to help to thank them for being part of it, because they were having presentations via webcam and from Calexico High to the University of Johns Hopkins. That's how some of the lessons were done as well. And we're gonna play a small video from Dr. Quiñones at the end of summer school for our ELD students at Calexico High School. It's only a 2-minute presentation, 2 minute.
not there with all of you guys. Good morning, everybody. Wishing you happiness and congratulations for graduating from this incredible program. Actually, I'm so sorry that I am not there with all of you guys in Calexico. As you guys know, I am from Mexicali, and I have fond memories of my time crossing the border between Mexicali and Calexico, and I congratulate you for your wonderful accomplishments. Your leaders asked me to comment on two quick little things, which I have actually here with my team. One of the questions is, why is education important? And the other one is, how do I overcome obstacles? The first question is the importance of education. I would say that education is the best provision for old age. It allows you to explore places by using your brain, things, ideas, discoveries, making discoveries through this knowledge that you acquire as you're not only going through school but learning from the world. So education for me goes beyond learning from the classroom. It's also the opportunity to learn from your friends, your family, your history, your country, the interaction as you are in between two wonderful countries, Mexico and the United States. So education for me is important because it allowed me when I was a little kid to explore the rest of the world when I did not necessarily have the ability to travel much, given the fact that I grew up in very humble backgrounds. The second one is related to this. How do I overcome obstacles? And it's a question that I honestly have been asked so many times by so many people. And the best way that I can answer that for you is by telling you that I persevere. Doesn't matter how big the obstacle may be. It doesn't matter what the circumstances may be. I never lose track of the future, and I always try to stay positive despite the obstacles that may be put in front of me. I am reminded of when I first came to the United States back in 1987. I was only 19 years old, and I didn't think, I never for a minute thought that one day I was going to be sitting here at Johns Hopkins enjoying this beautiful university, or having gone to Harvard or UCSF to do my training. But the reality is that I always knew that if I gave my best, the best was going to come back to me. So the way that I think I have overcome obstacles is by always keeping a positive attitude, by always reaching out to people who care for me, by always trying to reach back for others who are behind me, who may also be and have the same passion that I one day had. And as you can see in my group, in my laboratory, in my team, I am surrounded by wonderful young people who are so passionate about what they do, and it gives me a great deal of pleasure to just stand my hand back and tell them, come with me in this journey, so we both can actually overcome obstacles together, and I can learn from them. So I encourage you to learn from each other. I encourage you to learn from your mentors. I encourage you to make sure that you continue to be passionate about something and never lose track of your roots that are so important. So congratulations. I am delighted, and I look forward to one day meeting you when I come back to Calexico. Alrighty? Thank you. Bye-bye.
He worked directly with our ELD students in science program at Calexico High School during the summer. And like I said, that program, I really appreciate Joshua Hurtado, who helped us with everything, connecting with John Hopkins, Dr. Quiñones, recruitment, everything. We would be in contact via email, and that's how we set it up, the science program. Now, also, I would like to take this minute to thank everyone for helping us during the summer program. Our head school clerks, which were very, very helpful. I did let them know what we were doing during the summer, and any questions that parents would have, they would refer those questions to me. Our receptionist, Almita Meneses, who I would say, Almita, this is what we're doing during the summer. If we have any parents coming in or questions, please refer them to me. But here's applications for the parents, because if I get that information, it would be easier for me to return any concerns or phone calls that I needed. And also our teachers who took this project in their hands, and they did a fabulous, fabulous job. Thank you. And
Board
thank you, the board.
Thank you, board members. Do you have questions? Ms. Vizcarra?
Yes,
Ms. Yanez, where did I write it? I don't know if you gave us approximate numbers of how many students were involved in the 3 programs you talked about, but the goals that you mentioned were great goals. But I'm wondering how you gauge the success of those goals. Besides how many kids were enrolled, and I certainly don't mean that. I mean, how do you gauge that this was a successful summer program?
Based on what I was able to see in the classrooms, and also I'm waiting to see some data. We're doing the self-test as we speak. The window opens on July 1st and ends on October 31st. So if you recall my data that I pulled out for the summer program, it was based on the self-test and the last 3 years. Let's say that Silvia Yanez was a beginning, kinder, beginning, first, beginning, second grade. So that was Silvia Yanez. This Silvia Yanez was my target. And then we're doing the self-test again because we have to do it every year for our English learners. That's how I'm going to start comparing how successful was the program during summer.
So then for now, it's just by observation?
By observation.
You being involved in the programs?
Yes.
And you really have actual data after they take the test?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's easy to pull out.
Okay, and now maybe can I have some numbers? Do you know how many kids were enrolled in these 3 programs?
We had an average of 18 from 2nd through 6th, 7th and 8th. We had an average of 25, and at the high school level, it went from 15 to 10. Unfortunately, we had to give up some spaces because we had some students who had to do some recovery classes during the summer, and I told parents that unfortunately, if they had failed the class at the high school, they would have to make up the class instead of mine class.
So are you saying that there were students that wanted to take part in what high school was, the science?
And the science,
And
yes.
they couldn't because they had recovery?
Yes.
Okay, and was there a cap to how many kids could enroll in either of these 3 programs?
My goal was to get 25 on each one.
That was the goal, 25?
Yeah, that was my goal. I have numbers that I targeted, and I can give you those numbers as well.
Is there a reason why it was 25 and not 45 or 105?
No, not at all. Usually during summer school, we tend to have smaller numbers to target certain things.
And you start targeting them, did you say February? I know Dr. Estrada said February, but is that you as well?
No, I started it in April.
You start targeting in April.
Correct.
Do we know how many, and this is all migrant, do we know how many migrant students and or families we have in the district?
No, migrant,
one
I
is
don't,
a migrant?
I don't know migrant.
English learner, I'm sorry. for
English learners? We had an average last year of 62 English learners, and I can tell you the numbers that I targeted by school site. For instance, for Blanche Charles, I had 119 students who qualified for the summer program. From Cesar Chavez, I had 159 students. For KG, I had 131. For Jefferson, I had 184. For Mainz, I had 136 students. For Rockwood, I had 170 students. And from Dual, I had 154 students, based on the data that I pulled out in April.
So those were all the students that technically that are eligible.
Correct.
For this, but the goal was only 25 per program?
Per grade level, but then if we would have more, then we would be opening more classes.
Okay.
Are you done?
No,
Yes. I also have some questions in terms of the EL. So it sounds like you were very successful at the elementary level. And what were your numbers at the junior high and the high school level?
The junior high, we had 25. We started with 38, and we end up with 25.
But your population at that level?
My population, 7th and 8th.
How many are ELs?
That were part of the ones that we target?
No, your pool, your total
328.
at the junior high level.
Yes.
And so what efforts were made to, besides creating the class, and how did you recruit the students?
We were using Global Connect like every week. When we had the first parent meeting, that's how we did. And then after that, I let the head school clerks know about the summer programs that we were having. Once again, every time that I would see that we needed more information, we would place the Global Connect, and I will call the parents There were times that I would call the parents. But one of the things that I noticed from Global Connect, it's a pretty good system, but unfortunately, our parents do not have the updated number, I guess, or contact number. And that was one of the things that even myself, when I was making phone calls, that I was not able to reach our parents.
Okay.
We also sent some letters to our parents to let them know about the summer program. We
I don't-
sent quite a few.
I don't know if you're aware, but at the county level, they have a calling system in which you can also get confirmation. So you might want to contact Mrs. Crawford, Dr. Crawford, at the county and ask about that, because they have a way to be able to contact every migrant parent in the county.
Oh, but that's for migrant? Oh,
Well,
okay.
yeah, because
We worked.
some of them are. It kind of
The way I did it when I pulled out my report, because I knew the migrant program was going to be offering
Right.
their own migrant program,
Right.
and special ed was offering their
I know,
special
but
ed program.
sometimes
I took
the
off.
two populations are sometimes the same one. Just
but-
that point.
Yeah, what I try to do though during the summer, I try to take those in the report, take them out.
Yeah.
Migrant and special ed, that was one of the things that we discussed during cabinet meeting,
Yeah.
that we won't be competing against each other.
And similar to the question that Ms. Zuno Vizcarra had, because I know that you mentioned that there is a curriculum that had a targeted goal. So, what kind of assessment was done at the end or near the or midpoint or at the end of the summer program to kind of judge? Because you already know what they came in as, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so at the midpoint or at the end, say, let's do some type of a test and see what the progress is. But it doesn't seem that that's what was in place.
For College Begins in Kinder, we were able to do an assessment beginning and end to see our progress.
Mhm.
For the EL Academy, we did a beginning test, but unfortunately, since we were not able to cover everything, it wouldn't be fair, the assessment at the end of the summer. So that's why I'm waiting for those health test scores at the end of October 31st.
Why weren't you able to cover all?
Because the English 3D program, it's very extensive. It's a 2-year program. So we needed to, what we are going to try to do, it's just we implemented only part of it.
Okay, well then, I'm sorry, and I'm not grilling you, I'm just wanting to understand. To me, it really, I'm not a certified teacher, but I do know that, if we're going to be able to, learn whether they've made progress, then we need to make the lesson plan or the learning objectives fit in so that we can be able to say, okay, we have this measurable progress instead of waiting till we do another self-test. So just maybe consider that,
I based on what I saw on this English 3D, they have different tests that we might be able to use. We just received the training, and we have another training as
Yeah.
well Friday,
Because
September
I would
13th.
imagine it's broken up
so
by
that we
units
can-
and saying, okay, you complete this unit and then you take a mini test and you demonstrate that you've learned.
Yes, based on the person that
Right.
presented to
So-
us, she said you could be able to use this one or this one.
Okay, so
Yeah.
perhaps that
We're
could
working
be
on it.
something to consider for the future so that we can have some kind of a measurable
Goal.
progress.
So you had no end of course test?
Yes, end of course test, yes.
So you did have?
Yes, but it was based on what it was not
Okay.
based on the book.
Okay, so it was based on what you guys, what
able
was
to
covered.
cover. Mhm.
Okay, so you have some sort of a test to compare from when they started to when they,
Yes.
when the.
Yeah, that's what I was
They-
asking.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
So, okay,
Yes.
so you did give, okay, I thought you said, no, you didn't.
No,
okay.
yes, yes.
So what were the results of those? Or you don't have that information
I
yet?
don't have that information
Okay,
with me, but
perhaps
that's
in the
something that I can
future.
share that with you guys.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Superintendent's report?
I think there was 3 parts to this presentation.
Is there another part?
That's the last one.
I'm sorry.
I get that often.
Sorry.
Well, good evening. This is my little report, and seriously, it's a little report. And on our Calexico High School summer school. This year, we had our high school located at the 9th grade. And reason being is that, well, our main campus needed a good little facelift, and the whole summer they actually, our M&O did a fine job with the supporting staff to try and clean up and fix the soffits on our campus and relieve some of that pigeon infestation that we have. And so anyway, so we did have our summer school at the 9th grade campus, and let me tell you, that was an interesting endeavor because holding the high school, which is known as the high school, holding it at a different campus, well, at the end of this whole thing, I know that campus better than I know the campus that I work for right now. So saying that, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So summer school, it was from June 19th to July 7th. Well, actually, July 18th. I made a mistake there. It was from, we had class from 8 to 3 p.m. There were two sections. There was a morning session and an afternoon session. The morning session was from 8 to 11. Afternoon session was from 11:30 to 2:30. From 2:30 to 3 o'clock, teachers had a 30-minute prep time. Okay, so looking at our enrollment, our first day of enrollment was 871 students, which I thought was a great number. As a matter of fact, looking at past records, I think that is the highest student enrollment that we've had in summer school in a long time. But that also comes into play that we also were able to offer more classes. This year, we were able to offer Spanish, which wasn't offered in the past. We were able to offer more sections of our science, which wasn't offered in the past. Well, our science was offered, but not so many sections. So all in all, I felt, our start was good. That 871 was actually maintained for the first 2 to 3 weeks. And then, of course, after, we had that rule after 3 absences, they can't come anymore. So it actually dwindled down towards the end to 768. Next one. Now, these are the courses that we offered. Of course, we offered several courses of Algebra 1, Spanish 2, Spanish 3, Spanish 4, Biology, Earth Science, World History, U.S. History, Geometry, English 9, English 9 through English 11. Next one. We also had the Migrants Robotics, Migrant Pass, Migrant Speech and Debate. We also had, of course, Ms. Yanya's program, the Yale Summer Academy in English and Science. We also had our SPED program. We had 2 SPED teachers working with us, which was Mrs. Montenegro and Ms. Mayo Wells, and they also had a good chunk of students, which were approximately 26 in total, with both classes included. And of course, we had Cyber High and our Assets program. Okay. All in all, this, like I said, it was a brief presentation in a sense that this took, well, the learning curve on this was really incredible. It was my first time working in summer school, and people that I do have to thank, of course, it would be Mr. Pesqueira for giving me the opportunity to work this out, and of course, he did help out in a sense. I did the first 2 weeks, and then he finished it off, Mr. Pesqueira. And of course, I'd like to thank Ms. Ambris, Mrs. Armendariz, Mrs. Donaldson, Dr. Estrada, and of course, Mrs. Williams. Let me tell you, trying to find the right teachers for the right classes is a lot harder than it looks. As a matter of fact, seriously, it was an interesting perspective of learning how things get done. I also like to thank Mrs. Esther Martinez, and the reason why I'm saying that is because I didn't know I had to worry about the cross lady until she told me I had to worry about the cross lady. And it was not just worrying about the cross lady right here. I was worried about the cross lady over there, and then there's another section, and then another section. And by the way, they need their little umbrellas, and then so a lot of communication with all these different people. We needed more proctors. We needed more. Well, thank you for all your help. Seriously, that was really good. And let's see, move on. But we wouldn't have been able to do any of this without our support staff. So we had two awesome ladies working with us. Was Mrs. Laura Cristerna and Mrs. Alejandra Segura. Seriously, the glue of the organization would have fallen to pieces if it wouldn't have been for those two ladies. Our proctors, Mr. Jose Niebla, Marco Trucios, Fernando Zaragoza, Raúl Cordova, which I failed to mention there, and of course the custodial staff, Mr. Jorge Garcia and his staff. Last but not least, I'd like to thank the teachers. If it wouldn't have been for the teachers who stepped up to teach, they said, yeah, I'll be, they didn't sign, there were several teachers that did not sign up for summer school, and I had to go beg and beg some more. And so they at the end of the day, they said yes. And as a matter of fact, our kids got a very good education during the summer. And I felt that everybody as a whole, as a team, did a fine job. Mr. Pesqueira, would you like to add something?
Good evening. Just short and brief. I echo Mr. Santos in thanking the entire staff. But I want to thank him personally because of his efforts. He went beyond the line of duty. When you're done when your contract ends as a vice principal, it was like on Wednesday of the second week of summer school. I was out at a training in LA, so I couldn't come and replace him Thursday and Friday. He said, Mr. Pesqueira, don't worry, I'll finish it off when you come back on July 1st. Even that, he had already started evaluations for summer school evaluations. He came back and says, you know what, I already told these teachers that I was going to evaluate them. Do you mind if I can come and help you? And I said, obviously, yes, and I'm very grateful for that. But there's one thing we need to consider. I want to say before 2006, our vice principals that have always been encouraged by our superintendents to give them that experience as administrators to open a program and close a program is very valuable. Unfortunately, after 2006, 2007, vice principals don't have that opportunity. They do assist in getting the groundwork and getting the program started, but after their vice principal contract is over, they're gone. And yes, the 12-month employees, administrators will finish off the program. I would really ask you guys to reconsider that for the next summer. Not because I don't want to work, I'm still going to be there. I'm a 12-month employee, but it's just a valuable experience that they get from not only opening a program, but also closing a program. I really appreciate his efforts, and any other vice principal that gets this opportunity in the future, I think it's a enriching experience for them. Okay, thank you.
Any questions? No? All right, thank you.
Okay, trustees, got a few items to share with you. This kind of reiterates a little bit of what Mr. Cooper was talking about earlier. Yes, there is increased enrollment in our district this year. And he and I believe, spoke a couple weeks ago. And we were at a 200 plus from where we were last year. And from that date to today, we're already at 100 more than we were a couple weeks ago. Right now we are at 9169, which is 45 more than 9-3 of 2013 and 100 more since August of 27th. So we do have increased enrollment in our district. In terms of the storm report, I did congratulate our classified staff. We did have 3 major rainstorms during the past week, which started Wednesday on September 4th, Saturday, September 7th, and yet last night at September 9th. The worst, of course, was Saturday's storm. Caused significant damage throughout the city. And initially, the school that was most affected was Maine's. We did have an emergency administrative meeting on Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. Most of our administrators that were in town, well, actually all of the ones that were in town, made it. Again, they dropped whatever they were doing and they came in. In the immediate aftermath, several of our employees went into action preparing the former ABE temporary Jefferson site because our intent was construction there at least for K3 for main school. And we were anticipating moving the 4th through the 6th grade to Willie Moreno. Luckily, the power was restored to mains by 4 p.m. on Sunday, with the exception of 3 classrooms, of which only 1 is utilized for during the day. So that was actually the least of our worries. Unfortunately, Monday, when Miss Moninger showed up to Blanche Charles, there was no power in the hallway and in a lot of the classrooms. And those classrooms that did have power did not have an AC that was functioning. And luckily, I have to commend publicly Miss Moninger, her staff, I believe it was Felix Arce, and Mr. Stone, Mr. Robert Stone, and all of the teachers at Blanche. They were very responsive to the needs of the school and the needs of the students. They were the ones who went to the temporary site next door at ABE, and by 9:30, all of the kids were back in their classrooms. I think there was one teacher who opted to stay out there, and actually it really wasn't much of an option. Mr. Machuca's classroom did get wet. The water came through the door, and so his room smelled horrible. And I was able to, I don't know if I want to say I had a lot of fun, but I had a lot of fun interacting with his second or third graders, speaking with them, carrying their backpacks with them. One little girl said, "No, you need to carry." I said, "Do you want me to help you carry the chair or the backpack?" And she said, "Carry my backpack because it's heavier than the chair." So it was fun. Then I ended up carrying 5 backpacks, but it was a lot of fun, and they've invited me to come read to them. So I'm going to go out there in a few days. Like I said, the school power and AC was fully restored by about 9:30, 9:40 in the morning, and everybody returned to their classrooms. And the storm of September 4th, which was last Wednesday, demonstrated to us that there were several leaks at Godfrey Gym at Calexico High School. And it happened during our Williams visit, I hear. So these are issues that we need to take care of immediately. In terms of an update on our facilities master plan, the advertising started today. The deadline for the applications is due on September 18th. Interviews will need to be held, and we would likely need 2 board members to help us with that portion. And then selection will be on October 8th, on the October 8th board meeting agenda for approval to the board. The next item is that I received a call yesterday from Mrs. Ann Mallory, our county superintendent. She stated to me that there was a citizen who submitted paperwork requesting an election for the seat currently held by Mr. Eric Ortega. The paperwork, she stated to me, needs to be certified as accurate. She stated, for example, that signatures need to be verified as registered voters for the last election. The addresses for the signatories need to match the address on the election registry for the last election, and the signatures without addresses on the petition would be invalidated. So she would advise us as to whether or not there is sufficient signatures on there for the election. Pool update. Today, as a matter of fact, they did the pre-bid for the demolition process, and we also have a pool meeting tomorrow. The supper program feedback, as you had asked that you wanted, was that basically our assets has our food service program providing snacks for attendees as well as the hot meals for attendees. And per the program requirements, there needs to be at least a 2-hour break between when the snack is served and the hot meal is provided. And then the premise and purpose of the hot meal is for program attendees to have dinner prior to going home. Right now, at the goal time, like I said, there has to be a 2-hour lapse in between. I know that right now the goal time is set at 3 p.m. and 5 p.m., which with the hot meals being served at 5 p.m. One of the ways that can be maneuvered is that if the snack time is moved to 3:45 officially, and then dinners could be served at 5:45, so it makes it a little later. In terms of the SRO situation, we're still waiting on the city manager for an updated MOU. I have been researching Mrs. Duarte's recommendation through the National School Resource Officers Association. That national SRO program requires 40 hours of training for peace officers and/or administrators, but that would also likely require an MOU with our district, between our district and either the city or another peace officer agency. And I'm also researching with other county peace officer agencies. And with regards to the question on proctor's training, Ms. Washington is in the process of setting up a training which will likely take place on October 21st or 22nd, which is our next district-wide staff development days. Okay, and that's it for my, the last thing on our report, I did ask Ms. Rodriguez to give me the rundown of our ADA, our average daily attendance from, actually I wanted to get how our attendance was Thursday and Friday compared to yesterday and today. So we're in the midst of breaking that down to see if there was any significant differences. But in doing that, she was able to prepare for me the numbers, and whereas we want to keep our attendance above the 95%, actually want to keep it at 96, our overall attendance, average daily attendance at all of our sites exceeds the 96%. Our highest at the elementary would be 97.6% attendance, with our lowest at the elementary would be a 96.4. So we are actually doing really well in that area. And then in the 7th and 8th grade arena, our high is 98.03, with the low being 98.02. So we're doing really well there. And then the high school grades 9 through 12 is 96.87. And unfortunately, we don't have any numbers for Aurora. But I think that's a really good indicator of the commitment our students have to coming to school this year. So thank you very much.
Board members, do you have questions for the superintendent on any of the report? Ms. Zuno Vizcarra?
Just one question, Ms. Ambriz, why are we looking at changing the time for the meals for the after-school?
No, I'm just saying
program?
that would be that would be one of the options that we could do, is if I think right now we have the issue of if we do it at 3, then we serve at 5.
Mm-hmm.
The only way we could serve a little later would be starting at 3:45, but we can't start before 3. That's the
But
only thing.
my question is why that, is that,
It's
did
just-
somebody request a
Just in
change
case
the time?
anybody did.
I do have questions
Sure.
in terms of that. I know that at previous meetings, we've had comments from the students, from the Mr. Heck, in terms of the quality of food that was provided, fresh food, fresh meals that were provided by Neighborhood House. And I realize, I understand I read the email that you sent, and the concern that there might be of double dipping, but there's nothing to preclude us of not charging, so that we get it, so we can have what is healthy and good for the students. Or barring that, say that we're already committed to some type of a contract that says we have to do. There's nothing stopping us from taking a page out of what Neighborhood House did and duplicate that type of food. And that was my email follow-up. So
Okay, Ms. Armendariz is going to make a comment right now, but the only thing I would add to whatever Ms. Armendariz would say, and I don't know if she's going to say anything different, I think one of the other concerns that I would have with the Neighborhood House program coming onto our campus is the liability, and not necessarily the liability in terms of the food product, the liability of my interpretation of the Neighborhood House program being made available to our community on our campus, if it were the Neighborhood House coming on campus, is that part of their program is to serve the community.
Right.
So as they serve the community, then we are opening our campus to anyone up to the age of 18, whether they are from our school or not. So now you're opening up the campus at that time to serve kids, to use our facilities, etc.
But I don't think that was the intent, or that's
No,
how it was
I'm
handled.
I'm just giving you one of the things that I would like, for us to look at before we opened it up and said, okay, well, neighborhood house would be serving on
Well,
our campus.
and even if we did do that, we could, similar to how we're having discussions and back and forth with the city, we could have discussions with neighborhood house and be specific, saying we want this product at this time for this population, and that it's limited to that, because they already provide the food serving at other locations. It doesn't necessarily have to entail it at this
Yes,
site.
and so I'll let
Okay.
Hortensia speak at this point.
Last time, good afternoon. Last time that I was up here, you asked me to research on neighborhood house, and
Yes.
and I did. I did. So what happens is with neighborhood house, they're serving federally reimbursable meals, and using USDA products. What we need to do as a school district, because we are receiving federal funds for our assets or our ACES program, we need to make sure that it's also that we're serving a meal that's California, that meets the California nutrition standards. So when you have like, for example, in this case, neighborhood house who is serving that, they don't have the same guidelines that we do as a district. And if you go into California Department of Education website and you research on our after-school programs for the ACES and assets, we need to have both. Because we are receiving federal funds, we need to be very careful, because we can come, when we have the categorical program monitoring, they can come back and monitor what we're doing with our ACES and assets, and we need to make sure that our meals meet the California nutrition standard. And of course, what we do here is federally reimbursable meals at the same time. So there's two different standards, and that's what my concern is with going with neighborhood house and them coming on to our campus and serving. Because I do not want to lose our federal monies that we have for our ACES and assets program.
And I understand that. Then I'll go to my second point, being that, fine, if we can't bring, if that's not an option, then the option that I would ask that we consider is providing the same type of meal, duplicating what was provided by my neighborhood house.
And I can't promise that, because we still need to go by the guidelines of what the nutrition is, and exactly the way that our food services is handling the nutrition guidelines. That's what we need to make sure that we're serving on our campuses when we're serving students who are in an after-school program, who receive we receive federal funds for the after-school program.
I guess I'll just put it in a nutshell. I don't want heat and serve meals.
You don't want?
I want it to be fresh food, cooked,
a supper, yes.
and hot, fresh hot meals, not something that you heat and serve. Want fresh vegetables, want fresh fruit.
As long as they feel, yes, as long as we can fulfill
exactly,
the
and following
nutrition
the guidelines.
guidelines. Yes.
I mean, it's not. I don't think it's impossible to do.
And you know what? And you have a good point, because you know what? Our students are there. Some of them since 7 o'clock.
Exactly.
Yes. So.
So if you can work on that.
I've been invested just in the last year when we had a problem. Can I go?
And just a minute. So if that can be done,
I'll be very proactive in making sure that our students received. Yes. Any other questions regarding the meals? No. Thank you.
Okay. Next person that we have under public comments is Mr. Heck, and then Mr. Kim. Mr. Heck. Your microphone, Mr. Heck.
Say it every time. He keeps taking them over.
Technology. Alan Heck, head coach, Calexico High School, and I'm representing these athletes that we've talked about within the zero period. When I was what I would like to kind of go over was a clarification of time phasing and the scope of services. The most immediate being the food delivery and how we would do that, which is starting to be fleshed out here a little bit. The fact that we have 105 football players in the after-school tutoring program, and yet we just have one tutor. And so that ratio is not real consistent, I would say, with what is going on with the rest of the school and the tutoring program. So those are two issues on the most immediate board, I guess, that I would like maybe some clarification on. The next is more the intermediate, and that is I know we're in the kind of the process of ordering equipment, but I don't know exactly what the time phrasing on that is. And then the long range is, at this point, we haven't talked about, we don't have currently on the master schedule the 0 period where the kids are given credit and that type of thing. So food service and tutoring, immediate, intermediate, equipment, and long range master schedule. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Heck. And then if Ms. Ambris, you can work with Mr. Heck.
I thought with the, when we discussed this last week or 2 weeks ago, that it was
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. Where is it? I thought it was gonna get worked on with the master schedule.
Can you come to the podium, please?
I don't think that's the issue of getting it on the master schedule. I just needed a directive of when is the program going to start it? What does it entail? How many students are we looking at? Obviously, we need a list, and I think I spoke to Mr. Heck. He has a list of about 80 kids, I think you told me.
Actually, we have 105.
That we need to, once they're on that roster, they need to remain with us for the semester, because if they're not coming, they're being marked absent, it's going to hurt their attendance. It's going to hurt, we don't want that to happen. So we want to make sure we have a firm list. And once I get that green light, we're up and going. Okay?
So
when are we going to get a green light? From whom? And from whom?
Mrs. Armendariz has been working on on the 0 period program, so that I would defer to her on this.
Okay.
This is her.
okay, well,
Thank you.
some.
I would say that the light is on yellow right now, but we're going to turn it into green because it's a process. Remember that I said that we would do it immediately. We have to go through the process of where Mr. Pesqueira has already submitted the PC forms to make sure that we have, and I'll make sure we have 2 teachers that want to teach the zero period, and so that's already in the process. Our next board meeting, you'll have the report of who they are, so that way their NOE can reflect that, and automatically then the students will also, their names will reflect on the master schedule for 0 period.
So then at this point, is this a matter of personnel? Is that what you're saying?
No. No, we already have the 2 instructors that are going to be teaching the conditioning class, and also equipment has already been ordered also.
Okay.
So we're waiting for that. I mean, I wish I could have just done that the last time that I was here, had everything, but it's the process, but we're on our way, and the good thing that it has been approved and we're moving forward.
But hold on, it's a process. Yellow light.
No, yellow light, just to go through the process of, for example, the PC form, and all we need now is the NOE, and then once that is in place, then we start our 0 period with our teachers and with our students, and them getting credit for their class.
Do we have a time frame?
You know what, by next board meeting, that when we have our next board meeting, all of that will already be in place. So for our next board meeting, I can report exactly what we've done and what the status is of 0 period already beginning, credit already, students being able to start getting their credit, and also the meals and the equipment.
Okay.
Because I don't want to hear at the end of this year.
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
I don't want to hear that the students.
September 24th.
I don't want to hear that the students didn't receive credit because they didn't have enough seat time.
No, that's not what we had agreed on.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Jung Kim?
Hi, my name is Jung Kim. I'm here as I'm a council member, and also I'm a Boosters member. But I'm not here for that. I'm only for the Booster members and community members. And I'm glad that Ms. Aguilar was clarifying a lot of issues to the process been for the football team. So save my times. And what really happening is the food program from the neighborhood house. I've been investigating when they had the issues. Yes, it was came up from the same money from the USDA, so they have a double dipping issues. But the time they had all the requirements they could be able to serve in the California, because we still serving this California. The California food standards for the children, they are same, not federal. So they have to be implementing the food standard for the children in California, and also that program for the only minor, not the others. So they don't have any serve the food for the others. They're only for the minor under the 18. So we don't have issues for the adults serving the food, and when the issues when I found it, the food not delivered to the kid, and they were saying they have to move the program to the 5 o'clock. They can eat the 5 o'clock to the hot meal, but they're gonna go up to the practice. They are expecting the kid eat the hot food and go to practice. Is that for the students or for the money? Why we cannot why we cannot the folding the charging to the asset program for the food? Why we cannot let them neighborhood house bring it? Very simple. So school district wanted to make the money out of from our students, or they want to serve the food for our children? They have a question. And lots of issues. This one is supposed to be taken care of the early before they started. And they supposed to get the food served. The one of the vital of the success of the vital is the food. We provide the food after school, so make sure they're not hungry and they can study, and then they're ready for the practice. We are asking our children suffer too much. If some of your kid is in the football team, it wouldn't be that happen. They already have a hot meal on the table. Why are we holding? If we're not here using our children to make the money, we are here to serve the children. And my opinions, school district doesn't have enough money for the children and teachers.
Please wrap
They
up.
always short.
Please wrap up. Thank you.
They always short for the money for the children and the teachers, but not the lawyer and consultant. They have almost unlimited. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Dr. Mohammed?
Good evening, board members, ladies and gentlemen. I have missed so many meetings, I guess, for a while, because I guess I am not informed when is the meetings. I mean, this is just not giving us the opportunity as parents and public to give our comments and, to face our opinions. I wish we go back to the old way of having the meeting on Thursday, because that gives the public the opportunity to participate in the education of their children. I request from the board to have at least a vision. I like the picture of the vision of our district, but we need to have a priority list for the year so we can work on this list and see what we are achieving during the year for our education or our children and our school. There's a few things, I mean, we have asked for many years. Kennedy Garden, they have so old falling swings and other things in the pavement in Kennedy going from year to year. Yes, I like it's very good that there is security, one door installed so parents cannot, or somebody cannot. This is something is good for Kennedy, but we need to also to do it at other schools. I mean, Enrique Camarena has also a big issue because everybody can go, anybody can get in. It's not very safe junior high. Back to the high school. The high school, we have too many issues. The lunch problem, the funds for a new cafeteria. I don't know if we have ever worked on that or we thinking about it. And also security more during lunches. For teachers that also need training, they should have training. And teachers should be evaluated more periodically and to see the students' grades. If the students really achieving or they are falling behind until waiting to the end of the year to say, there's so many students are failing, though what's the problem? We need to tackle the problem before, I guess, the end of the year. And I think we have a lot of issues, but I would say we need to make our list. What is priority of our district here that we need to put it on the priority list so we can work on it with the community, with the teachers, administrators, and everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. Mr. Cesar Rodriguez.
Good evening, board members. I'm here representing CSEA. I'm the chapter president in Calexico. I'm a little bit bewildered here on some of these things. I caught the tail end of this. On this neighborhood food program, am I to assume that Neighborhood House is going to come on our facilities and provide food for our students or for the general public?
The idea was for our students, but
there is an option for
that's
public.
not a possibility. So
Okay. And how many school sites are we talking about in this program?
Just one.
Just which would be?
The high school.
The high
But
school.
It's, like I said, Mr. Rodriguez, it's already been explained to us. If you heard that from Mrs. Armendariz, it is not an option. It's not. It's a no-go.
It's a no-go. Okay, well, I was just going to relate that if you were going to use facilities, to please keep in consideration that our custodial staff throughout our district is overburdened right now. Even taking in consideration the ACES program is providing meals for the students at night, even with the snacks. I find myself, I leave at 2 p.m. When I leave at 2 p.m., my cafeteria is clean. When I show up in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, my cafeteria is filthy. I know ACES makes an attempt to clean up, but their attempt is not a good enough attempt because I still have to mop the floor and pick up the trash that they leave behind. And I'm sure this is going on in all the schools that the ACES program is operating in. We are operating a 2-school system with ACES program throughout the district, and our custodial staff is overburdened. And I would implore the board members to please consider hiring more custodians. We need them badly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Okay, the remainders are on the agenda. Board members, comments?